Hey everyone! In this video, I'm going to talk to you all about comparing and contrasting. First, I'll give you a little introduction and talk about how this connects with our focus of learning how to learn. Then I'll talk about comparing, move on to contrasting, and then I'll give you a couple tips for what to do whenever you run into a compare or contrast question later on in life. And then finally, we'll conclude our lesson. Now, this connects with our focus for this whole assignment, comparing and contrasting themes in more than one text. And comparing and contrasting is a really great study skill or a strategy that you can use in tons of different subjects. Let's say you're in college and you're reading a chapter in your textbook about ancient civilizations. If you know how to compare and contrast, this is a skill that you can use whenever you're taking notes. Knowing how to compare and contrast could help you to keep all of those different ancient civilizations straight by helping you to find the similarities and the differences. So in a way, this is just a really smart way to study. Now, when you compare, you're looking for similarities. Notice how I didn't say how things are identical. Comparing doesn't necessarily mean you need to find the exact ways that one text or one idea is the same as another text or another idea. Most importantly, when you are comparing two or three or more things, you need to make sure that you are using evidence from the text. If you talk about similarities, you can't just make up things that you know from your own experience. You actually have to read from the text. It could be an article, a poem, anything else, but you need to make sure that you're using facts. Those facts could be key details, events, or descriptions, paraphrasing in your own words, or it could be a quote from the text that you copy word for word from that sentence or that paragraph. And when you contrast, you're looking for differences. You're looking at the ways that two or more things are not similar in any way, shape, or form. And similar to comparing, you're not just making this up. You're pulling evidence from the text or texts if you're looking at more than one thing. You're looking for key details, events, or descriptions from your texts. Or you might even use a quote, copy word for word the ways in which one item is different than another item. Now, you would think that this is pretty straightforward, and I thought so too. But then I started to look at some of your interim responses from the interim too. And I noticed that there were a lot of people that were really confused about what to do when you compare and contrast. Now, this person started off pretty strong. They got a Venn diagram, but then they didn't really pull from the text. They said that the similarity between the United States and Great Britain is that we have the same language, but theirs is a little fancier. Nowhere in the article did they talk about how the English spoken in England is super fancy. This person also didn't really explain how they vote differently. They just say that the United States picks a president and England picks a prime minister, but this person didn't talk about how in the United States the voters pick the president. But in England, the voters don't get to pick the prime minister. The prime minister is actually chosen by members of the House of Lords. I also thought comparing and contrasting was pretty easy, but then I saw this response. This person did not find any contrast. There's nothing that in the United States or in England that makes them different, which is not what was in the article at all. This person also, maybe they ran out of time, but they just randomly picked this quote, "Both cannot be denied." This quote is from the text, but it in no way talks about the differences or the similarities between the United States or England. And finally, I thought comparing and contrasting was something kind of easy, but then I saw this response. This person, maybe it looks like they're on the right track, but if an outside grader was to grade this, and they did for the second interim, the 7th grade ELA teacher graded your responses, the grader would have no idea of what was going on in this student's minds. They just jotted down a couple words or phrases. And that doesn't really show that this person understands the similarities or the differences between the United States and England. So comparing and contrasting can seem really straightforward, but it can become challenging. And so here's a couple tips to keep in mind to make sure that the next time that you're asked to compare and contrast, that you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing. So one tip is to use this diagram. This is a Venn diagram. It makes it easy to find the similarities. Those go in the middle where the circles overlap. But then it also helps you to really think about the differences. Those go on the left side and the right side. This really helps you to sort out what's unique about two things while also finding the things that they hold in common that go in the center. If you don't like a Venn diagram, you could also use a 3-column table very much like this. Okay, this is something that I saw on Aaron Dejean's paper. In the center, again, you can put the similarities, the things that those two items have in common. And then on the left, you can put topic number 1. And the right, you can put topic number 2. And then you still have all of the space on the left and the right of the center to find the differences, the things that are unique to item number 1 and item number 2. Above all else, make sure that you are going back to the text. If they say compare and contrast, don't just make up stuff that you think that you know. Go back to the text. You might want to pull from your key words and phrases to find similarities and differences. You may also want to think about the main idea of the text. If this article is talking a lot about how we vote, you better make sure that one of your similarities or differences is about voting. So this concludes our video. You now have a couple choices. You could either watch this video again, take notes, or you can reread your response from interim 2. Reread how you did when you compared and contrast. Reflect on how you did. Was it clear from what you wrote on the paper that you understood the similarities and differences between Great Britain and the United States? See you all next time.